Hello, folks. Welcome to Ants Are Everywhere. We explore source code. And we are taking another look, a second round look at the KDE bug tracker, maybe also taking a look at the Mozilla, primarily Firefox bug tracker and the Linux kernel bug tracker. I don't normally look at bug trackers. I did once, which was last week. And, uh-oh. No, don't do that. We don't normally look at bug trackers. I did once, which was last week. And I'm not sure we really learned anything, but it felt like it was something we should do, just in the theme of orienting people toward the open source ecosystem. I know that most people who are developers, even I think beginning developers, have some experience with GitHub and the GitHub issues bug tracker. Some of the more larger projects use more structured bug trackers. In a lot of companies, you would use something like Jira. I think a cat may be entering my domicile. You would use something like a Jira, or there are a bunch of other project management kind of startup-y things. I don't know to what extent they use bug tracker, stuff like Monday and a bunch of others. And then at Google, they have issue tracker, which is kind of like seems to me kind of like a souped up Bugzilla. And then there's stuff like Track, and there's a million other kind of open source bug tracker plus wiki plus blah, 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 blah. Bugzilla is one that probably just for historical reasons, some of the bigger open source projects use. And it also just does bugs. It's basically just a database with a reasonable UI and search functionality. So I guess, what was it? GNOME? I think it's a Bugzilla instance. Just open them all. Bugzilla. New issues can be reported. No new issues can be reported in GNOME Bugzilla anymore. They've moved to GitLab. Well, we will open the GitLab. So as I mentioned last time, GitHub, and I believe also GitLab, although it's been a while since I've used GitLab, but I believe also GitLab has what I consider a NoSQL approach to bugs. You can't. He's not on camera, but there's a kitty walking around. So bugs are essentially string entities, presumably something like JSON documents with some metadata. And to search, you use tags, because tags are something you can search in a NoSQL kind of distributed environment. Whereas to take the Bugzilla approach, where you have a structured search query, you need something more like an ACID database, a MySQL database, or a Postgres database. So they're different things. I personally, having used the structured databases, I like the search functionality. But, as far as entering bugs goes, that's also good to do. That's also easy and totally fine to do in things like GitLab or GitHub. Although, I think if you're going to do it on any of these things, for GNOME, KDE, Mozilla, or Linux, I think you need to have a login on their system, which part of the idea of GitHub is that there's one login that allows you to file issues on any repo. So that's all just prelude. And now I need a sip of water. Hang on here. Why in this am I cut off? Oh, there we go. All right. So one of the things that, so I've been wanting to do this actually for a while. I never really came up with a good way to do it, which is why I hadn't done it for a long time. And then I continue to not have a good way to do it, which is why the last stream was pretty ad hoc. And you might say hit or miss. I might say mostly miss. But it feels like something that I should be doing and have kind of develop a skill set at kind of looking at these in the same way that I've been looking at code. And one of the trigger issues for me, which has been an ongoing frustration, is using Quake style. They call them Quake style drop-down terminals. I never played Quake, so I don't know. I assume they're from the game Quake. You can tell me if you know. But they seem to have issues, bugs on all the ways that I've tried them. I've tried Quake and YaQuake. YaQuake in particular has an issue where it can't decide which screen it's supposed to be on. It was kind of mostly solvable in X Windows with Windows rules, but it's persistent in Wayland. And I've tried what's it called? Sway, the kind of Wayland version of Sway, which I think is called Hyperland, something hyperish, missing a vowel, I believe. And I couldn't get I didn't have an easy way to get to the configuration I wanted, which was where there's a drop-down terminal and it wasn't on its own kind of workspace. So what would happen is that I think I have a drop-down terminal here. I would drop down the terminal and do like solitaire, Firefox, and it would open the browser in like a floating special area above the rest of the desktop, which I did not want. There are some scripts to fix it. They didn't work the way that I wanted them to. And so I just have this question of what is causing that bug? And one theory is that having a window that appears and disappears is sufficiently unusual that there's just not much support for it. Another is that there may be technical or security reasons why you want to have like screens reasonably isolated, or in the Hyperland case, whatever they call those workspaces, you might want them isolated so that they don't interfere with each other. But the idea of the drop-down terminal is this kind of a cross-cutting concern. It's sort of like global state, and that's one of the reasons I like it. But the ability to have global state may just be something that's difficult to implement in most toolkits. And so I kind of wanted to explore that idea a little bit, and we'll see if we can use some of these bug tracker tools to tell us about that. We can also open up some of the YaQuake code, for example. In fact, let's do that now. I didn't actually know that KDE seems to have an official GitHub thing. I'm pretty sure that they use GitLab for development. Is that what invent is? invent.kde.org. I think this looks GitLab-y, but I don't believe that we have a good search for the GitLab. What am I searching for? How about window? I don't know. Something windowy. Oh, okay. I can search code. That's not bad. It doesn't seem quite as nice as GitHub, although maybe that's a theming issue. But let's take a look. Let's take a look, see if we can find a little bit about where they implement the windowing system. So this has smaller, what do you call it? Like previews. So you get less context. But I think I kind of remember this. The zoom doesn't quite work where I want to see more context on the code, but that makes the UI disappear. Okay, so let's try searching for like placement. Change log. And then there are no issues. I'm guessing the issue tracker might be disabled. No. Well, hang on. This is now searching what across everything. Let's go back to Yakwake. And there are no issues. I don't even know why that search thing pops up. All right. In fact, let's clone this. Can we clone it? Can I kick it? All right. And let's generate tags. And I guess let's run Gemini. Gemini, all up in my eye. Okay, and to avoid burning credits totally, let's ask one of these things. Let's just ask Google. That this is my go-to now. Hello, what's on your mind? So in Yakwake, how does? Okay, so let's try describing it this way. In KDE on Plasma, how does Yakwake decide which monitor it should draw on? Does Yakwake decide, or does Kwin, or something else? And then I'll add a lot of question marks. It's Gemini AI is saying it's primarily decided by Yakwake's internal configuration, but it can be overridden. So there's internal logic, its own settings. I'm not asking about settings. So there's, let's see, global Kwin placements can sometimes cause Yakwake to glitch and open the middle of the screen. I'm not asking so much about config as I'm asking about logic. Where does in which code does the logic live? Where does it live? Where does it live and die? It's primarily within Yakwake's own source code. Its main window management classes. Kwin manages the physical drawing of windows. Yakwake explicitly calculates the target coordinates and monitor index before telling Kwin where it wants to be. And it's even telling me main window.cpp. I don't know if I trust that. So the @mouse, there's some @mouse logic. Yakwake calls cursor pause to get the global cursor coordinates. It then uses QGUI application screen @pause to identify which physical monitor these coordinates belong to. If a specified screen is selected in settings, Yakwake looks up the screen by index in QGUI application screens. And there's a geometry calculation, update geometry. And then once the monitor is identified, Yakwake executes its own geometry calculations. It fetches the available geometry, the screen area minus the panels, blah, 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 alignment. It calculates the offsets. So even though Yakwake calculates the logic, Kwin is the final arbiter. Conflict occurs because of Wayland security. On Wayland, applications are not supposed to know their absolute global position or move themselves freely. Okay. Kwin may ignore Yakwake's coordinate request and instead apply its own placement strategy. And the window rules, blah, 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 will override whatever coordinates main window requested. Okay, so let's first of all. So does still do the calculation if it somehow knows Kwin or something else? We'll ignore it. It seems like you shouldn't. So it doesn't pre-check. Okay, great. Now what? So what can cause Yakwake to draw on the wrong monitor? So if it's using this Q GUI monitor thing, where is it called? There's the Q GUI application and related. There's some there's some function that told you which monitor it was on. These two, Q screen. Dodge windows. Whoa, hang on. Change the Kwin's window placement strategies can override Yakwake's request. If the panel is at the dodge windows, the compositor may intercept Yakwake's dropdown and force it to a different screen where it thinks that there is more room. Okay, so this might be why it like changes screens if I maximize it. So let's look up dodge windows. Many people expressed that this was their big missing feature from Plasma's panel. Okay, so maybe dodge windows related. Let's ask what can cause. So I'm seeing this behavior. Kwin works kind of to draw on the correct screen unless I maximize it with what, F11 or something? Then it moves to the wrong screen even if you unmaximize it. Then to get it back to the right screen, you have to change the configuration, apply it, and then change it back to cause it to register. And it always ignores. And let's say KDE window rules are always ignored. What causes this behavior? I'm using the dumbest AI, so it's probably not going to, we're probably way too deep into the weeds for it to actually give me a good answer at this point. The behavior you're seeing in 2026 is a known architectural conflict between how Yakwake handles its drop-down window and how Plasma 6 handles standard window states. It starts behaving like a standard top-level window. Yakwake has internal logic for its height and width percentages. F11 triggers a full screen or maximized state in Kwin that overrides Yakwake's geometry. And then they're often ignored because of how it's matched. Yakwake windows are often identified as on-screen display or dock types rather than normal windows. Yeah, but mine matches everything. Yeah, okay, I'm already doing all this. So it's something else. All right, so I think we have kind of enough to start investigating, but let's ask kind of a similar thing about why in, what's it called? Hyperland? I don't remember how to spell it. If I create a drop-down terminal and open a web browser, the web browser opens in the drop-down thingy instead of on the desktop below. This is in Plasma. What causes this? Because child windows are typically spawned in the same workspace. Blah, blah, blah. To resolve this, enforce the browser. Set a global window rule. I don't want to launch it silently. No. Enabling initial workspace trackling. I want no windows to ever open in the dropdown except for the terminal. Can I do that? By using it to target? I want any terminals I launch from the dropdown to also not open in the dropdown. So I might have to give it a special title. I mean, maybe that's the thing. A global eviction rule. Yeah. Okay. So, kind of with that in mind, let's see if we can find some information about some of the claims made. I think it was what, Q main window, or maybe like main window.cpp. App main window.cpp. We have a mock main window. What is mock? I don't know. So main window is large, and we have things like apply window geometry, shared after open window, activate, X shape open window. If M animation frame is 0, do a bunch of stuff. And then we have the slide window. If K window effects is effect available, then we're going to slide window. And then we have this Kwin assist toggle window state. QX11 info display. Okay. So let's see. No, do that. Something about display. Okay, so we have this QX11 thing. What about in Wayland? If have Wayland init Wayland surface is Wayland Hue GUI application screens count is greater than 1. So this is okay. Get desktop geometry. This is probably where we want to be. We going to return a Q rectangle, and this will tell us, presumably, the Q rectangle is going to tell us the size of the rectangle of the desktop. And we just have an if statement for Wayland. This kind of just dropped in here. On Wayland, it's not possible to get the work area from K window system, but Plasma Shell provides this through dbus. Okay, so Plasma Shell is like exfiltrating stuff that I don't know if this is like not possible because of security, and then Plasma Shell is just like telling all your secrets or something. But we're going to call M available screen rect is valid. I don't know where M available screen rect came from. And if it is valid, we're going to take it. Otherwise, we're going to return the screen geometry that we got by calling get screen geometry. On Wayland, it's not possible to get the work area. So get desktop geometry. So maybe the desktop area is smaller than the screen. But if the available screen rect is not valid, then for some reason return the screen geometry. Not sure why that is. I don't really know what any of these things do. Here, I guess M is like a class level variable, toggle window state, because we're setting it here. If reply is valid, reply value QRect. Okay. toggle window state is presumably this, right? That. So I'm guessing this is all in main window.cpp. So if we're on Wayland, if M is Wayland, then we're going to get some message from QBus. We're going to we're not going to get a message. We're going to create a message saying that we are Plasma Shell, and whatever strut manager is, and this identifier for Plasma Shell strut manager, and presumably this is the thing that we're getting, available screen rectangle, and we're going to set the arguments by calling QGUI application screens at get screen name. So get screen is maybe either going to return the current screen or whatever is in the config. And then, okay, so we're going to set those as the arguments, and then we're going to, we've got this QBus connection. We're going to grab, we've got this QBus connection. We're going to grab the session bus and send the async call, passing in the message. This is just RPC. And then we've got this pending call. And we've got a call watcher, which will somehow watch the call. Maybe it'll tell us when we have a reply. And then this is some sort of Lambda. Okay, so the reply is the thing we get from watcher. And it's going to have the Q dbus pending reply of Q rectangle. So I'm assuming essentially a future. And then we're going to ask if the reply is valid, in which case we're going to set it to, we're going to set the available screen rectangle to the reply. Otherwise, we're going to set it to QRect of empty. I don't know. Is that supposed to be like a null or sentinel value? I don't know what happens when we create a QRect out of nothing. And then we're going to call set window geometry, passing in the width and the height from the settings and the position. And we're doing this all in the Lambda. This is essentially, I guess, a handler, but it's inside toggle window state. So, I mean, it's fine. It doesn't seem super testable. That might be one of the root problems why there's so many bugs. Okay, so it's going to call set window geometry on the reply, not really doing any sort of validation that looks obvious. And that's toggle window state. So this set window geometry, is this the thing that is overridden? Like what is the entry point for a kwin, for example, overriding what Yakwik is doing? That's what I want to know. My hair. All right. So these are calls to set window geometry. There's this slot thing. I forget exactly how signals and slots work, but basically this is like a subscribe. I don't know what the syntax is, but some sort of connection between window settings. The signal is update window geometry, and the slot is set window geometry. Int. I don't know which one calls which. I'm guessing if you get the signal update window geometry from somewhere else, then we're going to call, I guess, the local set window geometry, I think. But where's that function defined? Is it part of the, yeah, part of the main window? Okay. So when we set window geometry, we have a new height, a new width, and a new position. I don't know what position is, maybe one of the corners of the rectangles or maybe the center of the rectangle. I'm guessing one of the corners. And the work area is we're going to call it get desktop geometry. And we're going to get the max height in work area. And we'll call set geometry, which is different from set window geometry. And we're going to set it with this formula, work area X, and work area width is X position. I don't know where X is. And blah, blah, blah. And if we have Wayland, we're going to init Wayland surface. So that's one entry point for Wayland, I guess, to come in and do something. And one of the things I guess Wayland can do is give it a fake, what's it called? Like a virtual or fake screen, so that it doesn't know that it's on the real screen. And then we're going to do the title bar stuff. Settings, frames, border width, show tab bar, etc. Okay. And then we're going to set window height. And is set geometry here? No. Is it anywhere? So we're certainly calling it. Is it just on the tab bar or the title bar? What are we calling it on? Nothing really. What about this? Is this a definition? It seems like set geometry. So KDE set geometry. I'm wondering if this is just a general KDE or Plasma thing. How about Qt? Qt widget class. Set geometry method is used to blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's where we're setting that. Okay. What have we learned? Let's see if there's any special casing for KWin. KWin assist prop cleanup. Blah, blah, blah. KWin assist toggle window state. If have X11. Okay, so if we have X11, we do have KWin assist toggle window state. And we can pass a Boolean about whether it's visible. Do we have a similar thing for Wayland? Well, not if we spell it wrong. There's a bunch of like if defs for have Wayland. If K Wayland found. Let's look for the assist window. What is it? What is it called, man? Assist toggle window state. Let's look for assist toggle. Oh, it's in the main function. I mean, main window. Okay. So got effect is false. So I guess we're just setting this up for some sort of search. We're going to look at we're going to get the the QX11 info, the display info. I don't know what atom is. Something about maybe this is for the special effect, the slide effect. This property is not, if we got effect, external atom, blah, 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 display, underscore KDE slide, whatever false means. And then if the settings frames is bigger than 0, they will do some stuff, etc. Okay, great. Now what? What other files are there? We have a main window. That's what we looked at. Some config files. The first run dialog. Oh, first run dialog. A session. I don't know what a session is. Presumably some sort of session, like when you're using it. Wait, what? Oh, here's session. We have a session type single grow width direction. Maybe this is tracking. like non-permanent changes. Permanent changes would be in settings. Maybe the session is just tracking things like if you've modified the height of your window or whatever, it will that modification will go away next run, that sort of thing, in the title bar. So there's really not much here. It's a small app, you might say. We have data or data assets. Skins, da 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 da. Okay, basically assets. So are there any tests? This is what inquiring minds need to know this. Test flag, latest, and no tests. So it's not surprising that there are frequent bugs, persistent bugs. Although it may be the case, and although it may be the case that the real bugs are in the interaction between these systems rather than a YACWIC on its own. I don't know why I did this in DuckDuckGo instead of just searching in GitHub. Should we just try GitHub? Easy to use but flexible Wayland compositor. I thought it was also X11. What is the X11? If KWin is for Wayland, what is the KDE window thing called for X11? It's also called KWind. Okay. They've officially split. What? The KWin code base into two separate projects, so KWin Wayland and KWin X11. I don't really know what this is. I'm assuming this is KWin Wayland, maybe? Or it's both? And then we have third party, presumably just like vendoring things like Xcursor, and also Xcursor. Helpers, KCMS, OpenGL, Wayland, etc. Okay, so let's see if we can find anything about window rules. I told you this was going to be about bugs, but so far it's just about code. So we have rules.h and rules.cpp. And we have class window rules, and there's a whole bunch of them, or a whole bunch of stuff. A gigantic class with functions like check min, size, check blah, 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 check accept focus, and whatnot. And then we have rule types and all this stuff. Apply skip pager. What is skip pager? Like window paging, I assume. Skip switcher. All of these things you can do, very configurable. I would assume that configurability comes at a cost of complexity. Read force rule, opacity active, etc. Read force rule. Read set rule. Okay, so I think that these macros are probably reading text. I think these macros are probably reading text descriptions of these rules. In most code bases these days, that would probably be JSON. This is possibly XML or TOML or something. But I bet if we search for skip switcher, we may find like a text description of what this is supposed to be somewhere. We do have some JSON. Synchronize skip switcher. That's some sort of plugin. No? We've got PO files. We've got C files. maybe this is too generic. How about language XML? No XML. How about we look for the macro? Hello. So Pradio Transient is saying, hello. First of all, hello and welcome. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but maybe Pradio. Since I've already read a stat solver's code, why not read a project that uses it to solve package management issues? Pixie? That's not a bad idea. I will look this up quickly. Oops. I didn't mean to copy the... Are you associated with Pixie? Pradio? Or I don't know the name, but out of curiosity. Okay, so we've got this force rule thing. Is it defined in this file? Read force rule. Okay, yeah. Where was it? Up above. We just have this var func settings var convert force rule, and we're settings var of rule. So what is settings? Settings current. So rule settings.h maybe rule book settings. Let's look for rule book settings. It's a k shared config pointer. Whatever k shared config is. I'm doubting it's in this. I'm doubting it's defined here. It's probably larger than kwin. But at any rate, it's a thing. We can probably find it on the internet. K shared config. Okay. So as a class reference, the class is a reference counted pointer to a k config. Oh, okay. So the shared is this probably, I guess, in the sense of a shared pointer. So what's a k config? Is it just a class? It's designed to abstract away the concept of actual storage and retrieval of configuration settings behind an API. Okay, so they're just stored somewhere in some configuration file, whatever the KDE configuration format is, presumably TOML. And that's how that is. All right, so now, are there any bugs? Are there any bugs to get to? So let's look again at kwin. Okay, so they're saying they're a contributor to the project. Yeah, okay. Sure. I can add that to the, I'll add it to the request list. Pixie. Is it related to UV at all? I know that people seem to like UV. I don't know. I don't know how, like, if, like, sometimes the dependency management software will use another package for constraint solving or something along those lines. Okay. General desktop lag. So then the question is, we kind of vaguely have a sense of what the meeting points of the Yaquake and kwin are. I think we've looked at Wayland before. but I don't really remember anything about it, and I don't frankly think I understood anything I was looking at. And I guess while we're at it here, let's look for tests. So we do have some tests: subsurface test, Wayland server test. Not a ton. I mean, they may be big. We've got these QML stuff, fake output, touch client test. And this is what, 206 lines, just picking on a random test. I'm not like, this is not a high quality sample. This one happens to be about 200 lines. I don't know if it's like doing table driven testing or anything where maybe the test is small, but they have like a billion test cases. We can look for something like test case. Init test case data. Oh, we have auto tests. I like that. I like the sound of this. This looks promising. Okay, great. And so there's integration tests. Oh, perfect. This is much more of what I was hoping for. Okay, that's great. Kwin Wayland test.cpp. That's kind of a generic name, but it's fine. And then there's, so these are integration tests. I don't know, maybe they spin up both. Maybe they actually spin up Wayland in addition to Kwin, and those run there. And then what other auto tests are there? Lib input, Wayland, effect, DRM, and data. Data, I'm guessing maybe text data? No, these are like, they're committing some Samsung shaper matrix thingy. And we have mocks for, I guess, DRM. How many mocks do we have? Okay, I'm getting more information now from Pradio. UV is basically just implementation of pip, and Pixie is more diverse, kind of like a conda implementation. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll add it to the request list. All right, we have a few mocks. We have like a mock GPU, mock DRM, etc. All right, now, let's finally get to some bugs. What? How long into this are we? 49 minutes. All right, let's go to Yakwake. That's where I think I want to be. I know I looked for a Yakwake bug last time. I don't really remember what I found, and I haven't edited the video yet, so it is what it is. So I think if I had clicked on other bugs, that might have been my ticket to seeing all the Yakwake bugs. Okay, and then I think I can edit search. Maybe is the fastest way to get a Yakwake specific search. How about wrong? Opens on the wrong screen. Okay, wrong display at start. Yakwake starts on wrong screen. Yakwake Plasma 6 window size is wrong. Window resize handler relative to wrong monitor. Plasma 6 regression, wrong positioning in dual screen setup. Okay, so these are all seem related. I don't know if they're duplicates of each other. They don't seem to be marked as duplicates. It's not clear. Whoa. Where was the search? It was here. Okay. Yeah, I doubt I'm getting to the Mozilla or kernel bugs. If you want me to explore other bugs like Mozilla and kernel, you can let me know. But I'm going to guess that these are not the most popular videos, even though I think we should do them. I don't want to overdo them. Not yet, unless they're, unless people are clamoring. Okay, and so is there, is Dark Reader on or off? I think it's off. It would be nice to get some color info about maybe what the status is. The status is they're all reported. Two of them are confirmed. Okay. I have 2 displays using Wayland. I set up my Yakwake to always open at mouse location and 60% of display with centered horizontally. This actually works, but not in the following scenario. Move your mouse to screen 1, which is over here, and press your shortcut to open Yakwake. It opens in the upper middle. Close it again with shortcut. Move your mouse to screen 2 and press the shortcut again. In my case, Yakwake opens up on screen 1 in the upper left instead of screen 2 in the middle. As soon as you click the mouse button to the new screen, it works. So I guess it sounds like it's waiting for the signal of a click. Maybe that gives it some sort of message, like a debus message, that the screen is switched. Whereas simply mousing over is not giving it enough information. And this is a similar one. Yakwake never remembers on which monitor it should show up. So another thing we've learned, although it wasn't clear that we learned this, is that having looked at the Yakwake code, it's clear that Yakwake doesn't do any, or at least doesn't do much in terms of deciphering which screen you're on, which is not surprising. So it must be getting that that information from one of the Q screen or Q display functions. I think that information ultimately comes from some sort of string identifier that your graphics card sends. In my case, I have two not identical monitors, but two monitors of the same size. I think that they're made by the same manufacturer. I think they're both Samsung monitors. Yeah, they are. I'm not positive that the graphics card is, I'm not even positive that at the graphics card level they're sufficiently differentiated. So there may be a bug like in the kernel, not the kernel, but the kernel module for the hardware. There may be a bug in Qt, the Qt framework. There may be a bug in Kwin or a layer above Kwin. All of those could be possible, but if there's a bug in determining the monitor itself, like if Yakwake is receiving the wrong information, we don't really know yet where that bug would occur. At least on my system, there may be several routes to buggy behavior. And this is what method you use to change what the monitor it's on. What changes do you make to the monitor settings? Blah blah. Here's the options. I have the same problem on KDE 4.14.10. I usually set up Yakwake to appear on the screen under mouse. I have seen that the configuration file is not written until Yakwake exits. So if I change the screen options, this setting will only be saved when it exits completely. That probably also is a bug. This is from 2016, by the way. So is this fixed? It's confirmed, and 8 other users experience it. I don't think this is, from what I can tell, drop-down terminals are not super popular. I like them, but they don't seem to be like the biggest. They're not the biggest user base for Linux. I also have this problem. The laptop, when I reboot, blah, blah, blah. I have confirmed that on reboot, the Yakwake file still has screen 1 and opened the first time on screen 2. It also persists in my case. I can confirm this issue. You don't happen to have scaling enabled, do you? Asked Claudius. So has Heinz, was it Hein? So he hasn't responded other than to ask this. Okay. So it seems like lots of people have this, but there's not much technical information. Maybe there's stuff about configuration. There's nobody chiming in to say that this has been fixed. I don't use the open under mouse, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's still somewhat buggy. So it starts on the wrong screen. This is from when? 2017 modified 2024. There's a setting for the Windows workaround. I think I found this before, and I used this workaround, and it worked on X, but not on Wayland. It keeps starting on the wrong screen. I configured it to run on screen 1, but after I relog, it goes to screen 2. The only setting that works reliably is show under cursor position. This may be a Kwin issue with multiple monitors using varying resolutions rather than a Yakwake specific. So there are these bugs, thanks to VK. Oh, this is a Reddit thread. This is a bug with Qt. I've opened a bug report here. And there's a workaround with a PR with a workaround. Okay, so what is the, what is it, Kwin or KDE bug? So on a multiple screen setup, KDE app windows do not remember size, position, or the screen they were last opened. So is this on applications to remember? For X11, the leftmost display is not the primary one. So when the left is not primary, it's saying it doesn't remember this stuff. And I'm guessing they're supposed to, unless there's some other service that is whose job it is to remember that for them. And then there's how to implement it. I probably broke this, says Nate. Does that mean, okay, so there are duplicates. So their work to fix this is almost certainly what caused it. Save window positions. KXML GUI saves window sizes already. It should also save window locations, presumably by storing the window's origins, blah, blah. Okay, so conceptual issues. We've created the new functions in kconfig. We can automatically save the position of apps, main windows. So main windows may be only by calling the new save window position function. This is what, from 2020? An alternative is to, But to save the position for every window, we need to add a new save window position function call to every individual KDE app that calls kwindowconfig save window size for sub windows, dialog windows, settings windows, etc. So there are 92 such instances just in the stuff they have checked out. And it's refactoring work, essentially. And because they don't use a mono repo, which I don't even know how that would work in the KDE case, because I think anyone can just, I don't know. Can anyone just make a KDE app? I don't know. But since they don't have a mono repo, they can't do the refactoring kind of all at once. They might have a tool to like identify these and file bug reports on all of the apps. They might have a tool if there's a way of doing this automatically, which I'm kind of guessing I kind of doubt there is. But if there was a way of doing this automatically, they may have a tool to like file merge requests in all of the apps. But it's kind of a if you had a mono repo, you'd be managing 92, probably over 92, maybe 200, who knows, merge requests, which is bad. Not easy, not trivial, but doable. If it's in the same repo. On the other hand, if you have 200 different repos, then you're managing 200 merge requests across 200 different repos, possibly with different mailing lists and all of that stuff with no central management configuration point. That would be significantly more difficult. The other alternative is to abandon this idea and put work into making Kwin do it instead, which would fix the issue for all KDE app windows as well as other third-party app windows. And if you do the first approach, you can just make it the change just for Kate. Oh, can you make the change for Kate? Okay. Basically, like special pleading. Can we get Kate sorted? Because there are many issues. Okay, and then I'm guessing that they do essentially do what's it called? They go with the first approach. This is some issue. It's in Yakwake. It's a merge request. Okay, so this is work to fix something. Stabilize screen order via sorting. Screen order obtained by QGUI application screens is not stable. Okay. So is this the issue? We do call this function. So we have seen this, right? I don't know if this change has landed. Okay, yeah, so we do call this. And we are going to populate some sort of data structure, presumably something like a hash table. And if the count of screens is bigger than 1, we'll set the screen label and KCFG screen set enabled to true, config screen. And maybe that's part of the workaround for this. I mean, at one point we just might have indexed into K screens, like K screens 0, get screen at get screen name. So now we're indexing by like a string key, and we're dealing with indexes here, but we're finding the index given to a key. Hi, Mango Arena. How goes it? Okay, so I don't know if we are achieving anything, but I'm getting a little bit more of a feel for what's going on. Yeah, sorry, Bugzillas. No, not sorry. How am I? I'm gonna try something. We'll try it kind of close to the end. I think we're getting to the end. I apologize because 2 harsh words about developers. I face this issue for some time, and I didn't see any reply in my bug reports. Okay, developers don't ignore tickets. Multi-screen issues are nearly impossible to debug because you need a matching hardware configuration. This is true. Okay, so burning down all multi-screen bugs to 0 is virtually impossible because is there a huge lag? Is there a huge audio lag? Sorry. I apologize if there's a huge lag. I'll try to fix it in post, but I don't think I'll be able to. I mean, this is noticeable. I guess there's not much I can do right now, and I'm almost done, so I'm not going to possibly jeopardize the possibly kick myself off stream to fix it. So it's hard. You can't burn down. So this is true. You can't burn down multi-screen issues to 0 without having like a large number of physical hardware multi-screen setups where you test all the configurations, because there could be quirks with specific hardware. There could be quirks with combinations of hardware. There could be quirks that only happen when you have like 2 graphics cards and your CPU load is high and power is short, or stuff like that. All that sort of stuff can happen. However, I think that making the software unit testable and having lots of unit tests is kind of the low-hanging fruit here. And from my explorations of open source software, there tend to be way fewer tests in the open source world than in the than in the corporate world. And so, or like there's more tests the more well-funded some software is. A lot of software I see is not very tested. Even like big C++ code bases, or maybe even especially C and C++ code bases for whatever reason. So I think all this is true. I think that if it was really a priority for KDE, they could ensure that like all of the multi-display code was easily separatable from the rest of the code, rather than kind of being embedded in if-defs and stuff like that, and that it was heavily tested. It's just my personal take. Okay, but I'm not even sure which particular bug this is, but this is the save Windows positions bug. All right. Hello, hi, low-key function, YouTube reel. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. If you're watching this, let me know if there's a noticeable lag between like when my lips move and when you hear the sound. And then what is this? This is some Atlassian thing. For what? For Qt? I guess Qt is on Atlassian. Is that what's going on? So QGUI application screen says unstable order. The list of screens, it changes order roughly every 5 reboots in my case. The only guarantee we give in practice, but not documented as far as I can tell, is that screens 0 and primary screen is the main display. Thank you. Low-key function YouTube reel is saying that I'm so smart. I don't know. I mean, I like to look at stuff. I don't know if I appreciate it. So if Kwin knows the preferred order, for example, primary, tertiary, why does it not announce them in that stable order through the compositor protocol? Anyway, that's a KDE bug, so out of scope. What? We rely on the underlying platform to give us a stable list of screens when we enumerate them. Okay, so I'm guessing if we look at the other bug, which we didn't really look at yet, the KDE one, KDE is maybe going to say this is a Qt problem because Qt is giving us an unstable list, not sorted, not stably sorted anyway. And Qt is saying it's a KDE bug because I guess maybe the contract is whatever. How are they? What is it? They're announced when we enumerate them. Why does it not announce them through the compositor? So I guess Qt's position is that whatever order they're announced in the compositor protocol, that's the order they're going to be in for that boot. When you reboot or maybe when you reconnect. So what does that mean? So does that mean if I unplug a monitor and plug it back in, or if, say unplug monitor 1, then monitor 2, then I plug in monitor 2 and then monitor 1, have they switched positions because of the different order in which they've been announced? That seems like not the correct behavior. It feels like KDE in that case wouldn't have there's not anything reasonable to do other than to announce monitor as it's plugged in. To me, it seems like Qt should have a stable sort. I don't know where they landed on this though. P2, important. FX versions something. Reporter, NW. I'm guessing no way it's just this person's name or something. On August 24. It's unstable in X11.2 if you have 3 screens or more. The list of screens in Qt is deterministic within Qt. It follows the order that the compositor announces them. The order the compositor does that is a Kwin problem, but Kwin makes no guarantees. All right. But why not? I'm not sure. Maybe there's a reason why Qt doesn't want to do it. I'm not sure. With the plugging and unplugging, I'm not sure what happens with the announcements. It kind of depends on the details of the announcement protocols. Yakwake saved an integer for which screens to open the window on. The integer is used to index into the result. This is from 2024. And determine the appropriate screen. It should not be an integer. It should be a string. Does it still use an integer? And determine the appropriate screen. And the screen is then set via a QDBus message taking the screen setting integer as parameter. So if the order of the screens returned by Qt screens changed after reboot, the previously saved integer setting now effectively refers to a different screen. Cool. Screen at. So this is in which one? The one we looked at, right? Create method call. This is the method we looked at, I think. Let's do a search for it. At least we've kind of narrowed it down. There's this war between, it seems like Qt and KDE over who should be responsible for having stable identifiers for your monitors. So let's see if we can. This, where's the code quoted here? Set argument screens get at. So this is now looking at name. So it seems like they do use a string now, which is what they should do. How did I get into coding? Sorry. I have no idea. Hey, thanks. Sure. How I got into coding is so I had originally studied math, and then from math I got into coding. So I'm, I guess I'm kind of coming at code from a. If I had studied coding first, there's a bunch of stuff I probably would have learned first, like operating systems and stuff. So part of the reasons that I'm exploring code by poking around is that I didn't learn that stuff formally. In some cases, I've read the textbooks or whatever, but I'm just kind of curious about the open source world, the software, the different layers, how things connect up. And I think part of that comes from having been an outsider initially. Okay, so this seems like a pretty deep problem, a pretty deep bug. What is this? On multi-screen setups, this is, you're interested? Yeah, that's cool. I find web development is the hardest for me because web development changes pretty quickly, I find. And it's kind of hard to keep, for me personally, to keep up with the with all the latest things. Maybe it's changing less quickly than it used to. I don't know. Maybe things have kind of stabilized. Are you working in the in web development currently? All right. So this is the Kwin. What component are we in? Frameworks, other bugs. Somewhere, frameworks kconfig. Oh, it's a kconfig bug, I guess, in Manjaro. And it's from when? What was I looking for? 2020. So not too far ago. I don't think it's resolved, is it? The importance is normal. Oh, it is resolved. Okay, so it's resolved. How is it resolved? There's probably some Git things down here. I filed it on blah, 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 let me know. And there's some duplicates. Well, this is Wayland specific, and Wayland windows do not remember window size if there's a secondary monitor. Okay, Wayland windows do not remember their size if there's a secondary monitor. Only if the leftmost display is not the primary one. I think this is just a restatement of the bug, but maybe in the context of Wayland. So there's a bug that tracks having Kwin remember individual window positions on screen on Wayland. Okay. This is the related bug. Use Wayland sessions to restore. Just use session restore to save blah, 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 all the information stuff of a session restore compatible apps. That's kind of a different thing. That's like, I think when you close them or like when you log out. But this stuff, the Qt stuff, the Atlassian stuff is, I believe about, I mean, that is about persisting across reboots. That's true. That's true. But it feels like there's other stuff that that can cause the application to forget which screen is which. But maybe it is just reboot. I'm not sure. It seems like maybe logging out or stuff like that. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Please do come back again. It'll be great to see you. And you have a great day too. I'm about done here, actually. I'm about to go too. This was very explory. There's not really a climax. There's not really there's not really a payoff. Although I did want to do kind of one maybe first of all, let's just I don't know. Let's close GNOME. See if there's Quake. Can I search? Just to see what search is like. Fine. I'll ignore you. We have these two. And I don't know. That's just to see how fast the Bugzilla for Linux is. Seems a little bit snappier. This is drivers. Powering down inactive. Blah blah. We can browse. I wonder if there's reports works any better. Platform specific hardware. And we have a bunch. RISC, PA RISC, UML. Is UML hardware? Timers. There's a whole timers thing. Interval timers, get time of day. Timers, interval timers, interval timers. Bug, stack out of bounds. Oh no, that's not good. And then there's one just for the whole Linux kernel. I thought these were all for the Linux kernel. There's IO storage, file systems, EFI, drivers, memory management, virtual assignee of kernel bugs. Okay. I mean, this is cool. There's like a whole world you can explore here. I don't know. You have to know a little bit about the kernel. But let's see if we can look at any reports. Search, tabular reports. Let's try a tabular report. What were we doing before? Let's look at blocks. No. Let's look at priority by kernel version. Assignee by product, I guess. And blocks. Why not? Okay, so this is some sort of, so it produces some sort of table. What did I ask for? Like product version. So the I think P1 is the highest priority. There's lots of high priority issues, I guess, in drivers and file systems. There's also some low priority issues. In fact, I'm guessing just because drivers has so many bugs, because I mean, you'd expect the driver bug component to have a lot of bugs because drivers and hardware are difficult, and for every piece of hardware, there's somebody can have something wrong with it. And so I'm guessing that they use the P1 through P5 prioritization more than others because they have such a big load. And then a lot of other people seem to basically just use P3 to mean I'm not going to ever get to it. And some people also use P2. Does it tell us anything? I don't know. And what are these individual? These are like individual bugs. I don't know what I did to tell it to like look at individual bugs, but that's fine. But can I see a bar graph? That's not useful. I think because it's looking at individual bug numbers for some reason. I probably told it to. It won't produce this because it's the maximum size. Okay, so one question I had is how you might find the intersection of bugs. Oh, this is Mozilla. Fastly verifying my browser. Don't do that. I guess, I mean, they probably don't want a ton of traffic on these bug trackers. I don't blame them. Not this. How about KDE bug tracker? I was there before. Do I still have, what are the chances I still have the KDE bug tracker open somewhere here? Yeah, okay. So the question I have is I want to know if I can search, if there's any tools for searching for like correlating bugs from one project's bug tracker with another project's bug tracker. And I guess I will ask somebody, are there any tools for simultaneously searching the KDE and Linux bug trackers for issues that span across those projects, e.g. Looking at a KWin issue that relates to GPU drivers and simultaneously pulling up a the Linux kernel bugs related to those drivers. I'm guessing there probably are not, but I was just curious. Search you. What is going on? Did I like control F that? I don't know what I was searching for. There isn't, well, not built in. The bug description. The Linux kernel bug tracker and kernel mailing list, blah, blah. They all rely on their own systems. Available options, manual or semi-automated. Use internet search engines with site scoped queries. So you could do this. This is by far the simplest way to simultaneously search across multiple. But that doesn't give you. I effectively want to do like a join. Like if my if the bug report mentions the, let's say, NVIDIA driver for some specific version of the kernel, I'd like to also pull up all of the Linux bugs for that driver. There's no official aggregator. You can open build service issue search that you pick from different trackers, including what is this, an OpenSUSE thing? Build service. How about NVIDIA? This is looking for packages issues. Bugzilla boost track. I don't know what boost is. Is boost the C++ boost? OpenSUSE Bugzilla, Mozilla Bugzilla. So you can search different ones, and you can look for issue IDs. And this is giving you like just a unified front end to search to do individual searches, as opposed to I think to relate the two searches together, and then you can custom script them. Okay. And you can write some JSON. They expose a REST interface. You can write some like a bash script or a Python script. I'm not going to do that right now because, among other things, I think they would probably rate limit me. So even if I could hack something together, this stream is long enough that that I don't think that it'll be fruitful. And then if you care about different trackers, you could do what? Run similar keywords. Okay. Sounds like there's not something there, but maybe there should be. Have you ever considered that? All right. That's all for now. That was a second look at bug trackers. I don't know what we're up to next week. Probably more back to normal code looking stuff. But thank you for joining me. Thanks for all the new folks who popped in. And I'll see you next week. This is Ants Are Everywhere.